Next on AM 1480 WLEA, Dugie and the Doctor.
All right, we are back.
All right, we are back. We haven't been here for a couple weeks. I have Brian on my right, the Doctor, and we have a couple special guests in the studio today. We have the athletic director from Hornell High School, Scott Carroll. Scott, good to be with you. Pat McHale, who attended the Hornell girls varsity soccer game last night.
Yeah.
And he's got a little update on that for us. So we got a pretty good show for you today.
Well, Dugie, I just want to tell you it is, I have been chomping at the bit, trying to get back to you, knowing that you were out in Seattle commemorating the 30th anniversary of the first playoff team. You were really rubbing elbows with some of the big names in the NFL, contemporary big names, as you played with some big names like Hall of Famer, former Congressman Steve Largent and Jim Zorn and so on. But first, let's stay local. And by the way, I was at a wedding. You were treated like a king. After I left the casino at Turning Stone, I was a pauper. So I'm
sure you were treated. You treated pretty well too.
Oh, I was treated well until I got to the casino. So we're going to call this the king and the pauper. Anyways, we have a real update. Local teams playing football, have done quite well, and we have, he thinks he has the face for TV. We know he has the face for radio, Mr. Pat McHale. Pat, could you, and our other guest today is the athletic director, Scott Carroll, and I am going to let him have it both barrels. He better be ready. So, Pat, give us an update on our local teams and what they did in the game of soccer.
Well, unfortunately, last night I didn't get to the JT game, but they played Ellicottville Eagles last night, and they won 1-0. So there's another Section 5 team going to the States next week. So congratulations to Jasper Trutzberg on a well-played game last night. Unfortunately, that game started at 5:30, and I couldn't get up there that quick.
Well, apparently he's not as pretends he's Superman. So that was the girls or boys?
That was girls.
JT girls. Now, who did they play last night?
They played the Ellicottville Eagles last night.
Okay, and what was the location where?
That was at Amherst High School last night also.
Oh, it was.
Their game was before the Hornell game. So 2 games last night. Yeah.
But the JT boys also victorious.
Well, very good. I didn't get that score.
Well, we brought you in here, and you.
Well, I didn't have that one.
Well, you know something. We're getting some sign language from the Hornell athletic director. It was 3-0.
Yes, that's correct. 3-0, and that game was in Rochester at East Ridge High School.
Boy, Zion.
Very good.
Yes.
Zion. So we got the JT boys and the JT girls going to the semifinals, Class D or C?
Class D.
Class D.
Yes.
And we are located in Hornell. And we have, again, Mr. McHale, who was there.
I was there.
He witnessed. Give us a little resume of the game itself.
Well, it's a game where, of course, it was the Hornell ladies playing last night, Akron Tiger ladies. And so as the game went on last night, the first half was Hornell would attack, Akron would attack. It was kind of an even game in the first half last night. Back and forth. And at halftime, it ended up 0-0. And shortly after that, come the second half, got into about the middle of the second half, if I'm not mistaken, Scott. I forgot to write down the time, but I was just on the phone to Brian, actually, running in to score an update for him last night, and just got off the phone with him, and I don't think it was 2 minutes later I was calling him back that Hornell had scored, that Jacqueline Acorn had scored the Hornell goal. And it's an odd thing with Jacqueline when she scores. Jacqueline. I'm sorry, Jacqueline.
Jocelyn.
Yeah, when she scores.
It's okay.
Is that she seems to score, be able to have the uncanny knack of getting the ball through the goalie's hand.
Yeah.
You know, it's really strange. The ball floats away from the goalie a little bit, and the goalie gets a hand on it, and next thing you know, it's in the back of the goal. So she's done that now. I've watched her do that several times this year, and especially in these sectional playoffs and stuff. She's done very well in that aspect of the game, and it's just fun to watch. But then we're in good shape. We're in good shape. We're winning 1-0. We go into pretty much they like to play that when they get ahead like that. They like to play that defensive mode a little bit. You know, we're still offensively motivated, but they were going to pack it in a little bit harder in the defensive end. And it ended up with a corner kick, Akron did. And that was about not a lot of time left in the game, probably 10 minutes or so left in that game. And a nice corner kick, a nice header into the goal by Akron. Very well played ball and a very nice goal. Unfortunately, but then of course again it went 1-1 to the end of the game. Went back and forth a little bit to the end of the game. Then we go into 10-minute overtime. No sudden death, 1 10-minute period and another 10-minute period. And the ball went back and forth again. We had our opportunities to score. They had their opportunities to score. And I can't leave out the Milner girl. What a great goalie she was last night. I mean, she stopped the goal last night on a breakaway. Girl coming right straight at her. And I mean, she came out of the goal, challenged her, and knocked that ball away. It was a great, great save because I thought right there that game was over right at that point. And she made a fantastic save. And I don't believe she played goalie before. Did she, Scott? I'm
going to nudge a little closer to you, Mr. McHale. It's a little tight quarters here, so don't get offended. Sean Trey in her first year is really becoming an exceptional goalkeeper, and we have to not forget that she's a sophomore as well. First year ever playing soccer, and her athleticism has taken over. Last night made a world-class save. She was in between whether to come out and play the ball with her feet, was a little indecisive, and really just came up with a world-class save that kept us in the game in extra time. So not only that save, which was world-class, but some other saves throughout the game that really kept us in the game. And then in the PK shootout, which it went to, came up with the first stop, took a ton of pressure off our girls, and then came up with the final stop to end it. And she was in such amazement and awe at the end. I don't even think she knew it was over. If she made that stop, it was over. And then she kind of looked around and was in awe and excitement and then ran toward her teammates. So it was a great, euphoric, kind of moment, and couldn't be happier for our girls.
Was her dad, Marjo, doing cartwheels at the side or anything?
He was not. No. He was there, though, along with her brother and her mother, and just what great fans that we have, and really excited the amount of support that was shown at Amherst last night.
That is a wonderful thing. A state semifinal. I know the baseball team, of course, need I say anything more about the football team, but baseball team made 2 state semis. This is the first for our soccer team, boy or girl, and I know the guys had a great year also. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing. We had 2 of the ladies,
yes,
and Dugie and I both said, I mean, not only bright, athletic, I mean, beautiful young ladies. And, of course, Dugie and I have the face for, radio. Those girls, it's too bad we weren't on TV. They were wonderful. They were great guests. Allie Henby, which I know she incurred a blow to the head, and looks like she may be out a little while here, but she's a real cog in that wonderful team. So kudos and congratulations to the Hornell Lady Raider soccer team.
Yeah, I got a quick question. What lies ahead for them now? They head to the... Maybe
what they do is they go to Cortland, all of the New York State tournament for girls soccer, and I believe boys as well. We played in SUNY Cortland, great facility. They play on Saturday and Sunday. The first game's Saturday. I think there's a dinner on Friday at 6 p.m., kind of like, a team celebration, some plaques, awards, things like that.
This is the Final Four?
That's correct. This is in the state semi, so 4 teams will go for Class B.
Wow.
So first time in school history. This was, uncharted territory last night. They came out victorious. Kudos to, Ted and Sandy Hillman and Jim Tobin and all those individuals back in the mid-'90s who came up with the youth soccer, and you now are reaping those rewards and reaping those benefits. So great work to all those individuals, and they really should not go unnoticed. That's key. So this Saturday and Sunday, they go Friday, will most likely stay overnight. Saturday is their game at 5 p.m. I'm unsure who their opponent is, and then if they win, they go to the final on Sunday.
Boy, that's going to be something.
Yeah, it's exciting.
That final game.
Well, we'd like. Are we going to a break there, Chief Engineer? Okay,
right.
Why don't we want to thank Pat McHale for giving us a blow-by-blow. And, of course, Scott Carroll will stay here because he's going to get a few questions from the Dukester and myself. He better be ready.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Pat, for going up and cover that game for us. You did
Not a problem.
lot of help. We got a lot of people we got to get it out on Facebook for. And
hopefully next week we'll be up there for the finals.
Hopefully next week maybe we can get it on the radio. We'll see what happens. All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back in a little bit with Dugie and the Doctor.
Hey, pal, can you give me directions to the Hall of Fame?
Sure. Just get a map and find Cooperstown.
No, wait. I mean the people who wash, wax, and make your car look like new.
Oh, that Hall of Fame. Well, it's in Hornell on the corner of Pine and Canisteo. And you're right. They make your car look like new. Best detailing in the Southern Tier. And Tyrone Hall will be happy to cut your hair while you wait. Or you can just drop off your car and return to find it looking just like the day it came out of the showroom.
You seem to know a lot about the Hall of Fame.
Sure do, because that's where I take my car. Tyrone staff treats your car just like it's one of their own.
Got a telephone number?
661-9008. 661-9008.
Well, my buddy Barry down there at Hat Express in Canisteo, he's got a terrific deal for you. He's running a huge sale. Yes, a sale on all of the apparel and hats and many other items down there. Remember now, you can get college teams, WWE wrestlers, NASCAR drivers. You can get pro teams. Whatever your favorite team, go down there and check it out. See if he's got a shirt, a hat, or some other such thing just for you. You'll find it on sale. First of all, everything store-wide is going to be 10% off. Everything with a minor exclusion, and many other items are on special tables or in special areas with much deeper discounts. So if you want to save money on apparel for your favorite racer, your wrestler, your favorite college, NFL team, baseball, whatever it is, you'll find it at Barry's Hat Express right there on Main Street in Canisteo. A big sale, so don't miss it. Barry will be there for you at Hat Express, Main Street, Canisteo, with everything on sale.
Now, back to Dugie and the Doctor on AM 1480 WLEA.
All right, we are back here. I am Dugie. I am next to the Doctor, and he is the Doctor. And we have a special guest in the studio today, Scott Carroll. Glad to have you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you very much. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I see the excitement. Scott is, of course, the athletic director and dean of students at Hornell High School. But first and foremost, let's mention, Dugie, that the WLEA 1480 AM will be covering Alfred University's last home game today. And again, unless you're living under a rock, we have four former Hornell football players playing, two of which, Austin Dwyer and Zach Bacon, see an awful lot of playing time. I know that Brendan Bish gets in now and then. He's only a freshman. And Scavo has seen a lot of playing time himself.
Yes, and they're young and they have a lot of time.
Both freshmen. So anyways, today's guest is none other than Scott Carroll. Not only is he athletic director, which I mentioned before, but he's also dean of students. I do a little subbing. I'm an old retired teacher, and I go back, and I know the stress at times that he is under as both dean of students, which you are putting out fires all the time. You are Mr. Conflict Resolution. And, of course, some schools our size have a full-time athletic director, so you have to divide your time between both. I would like you to give Dugie and I and the listening audience as well as you can articulate what your job description is as an athletic director.
Well, that's a great question, and to really get in depth and to dabble on what the actual A through Z responsibilities would be, we'd be here longer than the allotted time. Really, it's two full-time jobs with the dean of students. That's really the 7 to 4 job. And really 3 to 4 is utilizing some time to call back parents and things like that. And then right around 4 to about 8 or 9 o'clock is when the athletic duties, take over. I'm extremely blessed to have a wonderful secretarial staff in the front office. Mrs. Patty Clancy, my secretary, does an outstanding job. Kelly Rose in the front office and Karen Oyer really are the eyes and ears and make us, where we need to be on time, make sure that we're organized, everything's in our calendar, and I just can't thank them enough. On the athletics side, really obviously, we changed our policy. 5305 is the athletic policy, and we made some tweaks there and really put a major focus on academics. And the extracurricular part is just that. It's a privilege. It's an extracurricular activity.
So explain that. You have put extracurricular activities, sans athletics, without athletics, in the same category. In other words, they have to abide by the same academic, and I would assume rule violations outside of school, which you know what I mean, alcohol, drugs, whatever it may be.
Yes.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, so everything's on the same page, and I think thus far in the first marking period, we had our first ineligible list go out, and I think it sent a message home. We talked about it. It came out. It was implemented. I think a lot of students really didn't believe it was going to happen, and when they found out they were ineligible, that was kind of a shock to them, a good shock. And we want to make sure that we're promoting academics first and that we're student athletes. And, right now the school is a laboratory for learning, and that's really why we're here. And we just happen to also do some extracurricular activities, and athletics and plays and musicals happen to be a part of those. And that is what a privilege is. And we kind of make sure that that's the number one goal, is that those are extracurricular activities. It's great. Look at where we're at now with the girls' soccer and boys' soccer. Cheerleading won a sectional title this year. So, we're not excelling not only in the classroom, but we're also excelling outside. And that's what it's all about.
Programs do reflect many times the athletic director and his vision and his philosophy of what should happen and what's going to happen. I think, Scott, implementing this academic rule is wonderful. I mean, absolutely wonderful. And I'm a little side joke here, and I won't mention the person's name, but a number of years ago, in a pejorative way, this person said, "Boy, I hope someday our academic classrooms can do something that our football team will be proud of." This is a step forward. And there were rules back in the day where kids might have come in half on the afternoon on a Friday. They had a game that night and so on, and it was really laissez-faire and lackluster. Mm-hmm. And now things have really tightened, and playing a sport or being in show choir, whatever extracurricular activity we're talking about here, is a privilege.
Correct.
Right. It is a privilege. So.
Right, that reminds me back in the days of Penn State, Paterno coming out on the field. We're not a football factory. Yeah. You're here for a reason. It's not just to be on this field.
He had a pretty good record.
Yeah, he did, and he was really good about that too. Like Scott was saying, we had to do as much as the students and more in the classroom. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had mandatory, study halls and things, and it was good. It was good that he had that perspective on it.
I want to ask Scott, with things that happen on the athletic field or outside, where does the buck stop? Somebody, let's say, behavior occurs in an away game, and you find out maybe a Hornell athlete was at fault. Do you have to confer with your principal and superintendent before you make a decision, or are you the ultimate where the buck stops?
I mean, ultimately the buck would stop with our superintendent, Mr. Wyatt, but he really allows me to make those decisions. Not that I would. I really think, and I really enjoy the collaborative approach and the sharing, leadership style. So if something were to occur, I would always throw that to my principal and my superintendent, say, hey, what do you guys think? And I would definitely make that call. And if they don't like that call, they could ultimately talk to Mr. Wyatt, but know that we're on the same page. So, I think the communication part and the collaborative part is key. There are some things that I feel comfortable with that, I can make a decision at that time. I would also incur with the opposing athletic director to kind of find out what happened and what they have investigated and the reports that they have. And then if I had felt, with my investigation and my inquiries that I could go off on a sound decision, that I would do that. But typically I like to, consult my principal and my superintendent, and also Mr. Illy, our 7-8 principal. We have a great admin team, and feel as though I can throw and bounce ideas off of them, and we come to a consensus.
Parents many times are more concerned about how their son or daughter, an athlete, is treated more so than sometimes in the classroom. Mm-hmm. They should be up in arms if their kid is not making the grade in one of the 4 core courses. But as we all know, you got the sideline parents that their kid many times, and I'm exaggerating, he should get more playing time. Coach doesn't understand. So when a parent has a grievance, a concern, would you recommend, as athletic director, they approach the coach first, and when cooler heads prevail, or go through you and then the coach?
That's a great question. And tell him I said hello.
Yeah.
That's a great question. And one of the things that
sorry,
that's fine. One of the things we implemented this year was a communication checklist. So if parents, and this is what I say to the coaches as well, if parents are upset with playing time or they have a gripe or whatever their concerns may be, first I would say to the player, advocate for yourself. Talk to the coach and, ask them, hey, what's going on? Why am I not seeing enough time? Or, I was late to practice. Why am I not playing? Whatever the reason may be. So I think that's a life lesson for the players to advocate for themselves. If they feel, they didn't get the answer they wanted, I then have the parents talk to the coach. If any time, I get a phone call from a parent or someone else, first question I ask is, have you talked to the coach? And point it right back to them, because that may be resolved by talking with the coach. I don't want to be the middleman. And so what I do is, if those things and those concerns come to my table, and sometimes they do, I always point that back to the coach, and 9 times out of 10 they're resolved through speaking with the coach. So there's kind of a hierarchy and a chain of command, and that's one of the things we implemented. And there's meetings that I have that individuals aren't happy with my decision. By all means, they have that right and that choice to go and talk to the superintendent.
I got a question now. They go directly through you and not the coach when issues when a player or a parent has an issue with their athlete.
Sometimes I get those phone calls, and the first thing I say is, have you talked to the coach yet? And their answer sometimes is no. And I say, well, you need to talk with the coach
So then
first.
You direct them to the coach.
Correct.
They come to you. This day and age, it seems like it'd be quite an occurrence. I mean, a lot of parents are really concerned. They want their kids to play, and I'm sure you hear about it quite a bit.
I do, but you want to know what, Bill, is we have great coaches at our staff, and a lot of them are collegiate level players that are now coaching, and so they bring in a nice philosophy and a nice vision. And at our parent meeting, when we break off in our individual sessions, they really instill what the expectations are. So
right.
I think that's key, and the parents know ahead of time going in, hey, this is what Coach Wilkinson expects, and if anything's going on, then I know that I have to approach him. So I really am blessed with a great coaching staff. I really think they do an excellent job, and they're great role models for our student athletes. And we're moving forward. I got a year and a half under our belt, and I think we're doing a great job.
I think you are too, and I'm not trying to, what do you call it? I know you.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with you in one capacity, and I know that you're a man that tends to detail, and you're a pro.
Well,
you're
thank
a pro.
you.
But here you go. You ready for this one, big fella?
Sure.
If I remember Patty Piper saying this when they were leaning towards putting the same restrictions or rules with extracurricular as they were with that. What about, let's say, and since she mentioned, I'm just going to use her as an example. She has this big production play. Was she there when you were?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But she had not married Stevie Piper yet.
Okay.
They were still 2 rooms apart.
Probably after they got back from Woodstock. Anyways, let's say the lead of her play, which is the majority part of her play, guy or girl. And 2 days, they've sold tickets. And the play is going to be Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. And they've sold tickets. And he does something egregious, which warrants boom. How do you handle something like that? I know there are always backups or understudies, but right before, how do we handle something like that? She brought a very good point up, and so I'm going to hypothetically direct it towards you.
Well, again, great question, and this is something on the committee that came up, and we went round and round, and we talked about understudies, and we talked about, you want to know what, for the show to go on, it might not be the best, but if I have to go out there with a book, I'll read the play, and I'll read the part, and I'll go out there with a book, and the play and the show will go on. I think what's fair is fair. Let's flip the switch there and say that, Dugie is in the sectional final, and today is Saturday, and they're playing tomorrow, and tonight his name's in the paper, 25 years ago for drinking alcohol. What's the difference if the play individual's name's in the paper?
There is a difference, and again, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
There's no bench. I understand. There's no bench.
Right.
Okay, but you want to know what? There's a book. There's an understudy, and it might not be the best, but that person put all of their, whether they're teammates or classmates, themselves in that position.
So you're saying you better have a backup.
And that's something that in talking with, now Mr. Berardi and Mr. Van Leeuwen and Mr. Balin, who are doing those types of things, saying, I think you really have to look into who you're choosing and who those parts are, because that could come back and, become a huge part of the play.
You are consistent with that philosophy, and I admire it. I don't know. I mean, I guess if I was head of a play, I would probably say, or the director, can we let him go through this and kick him off? I mean, but then I know. I
think what you do for one, you do for them all. And to be fair and consistent, if they are breaking the training rules and in violation of the training rules, unfortunately, it is what it is.
All right, we're going to take a break here. We'll be back with Dugie and the Doctor and our guest today, Scott Carroll, the athletic director at Hornell High School.
AM 1480 WLEA, Hornell.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. Rescue operations underway in parts of the Philippines devastated by one of the strongest typhoons on record.
The Philippine Red Cross has their estimate of 1,200 that they fear are dead. They believe that the situation is dire. There is an immediate need for communication.
Journalist Mike Cohen in the Philippines talking to Fox sister network Sky News. Government officials there say they expect a very high number of fatalities. And the second to last race of the season is this Sunday.
Jimmy Johnson goes to Phoenix this weekend knowing that
if you're in contention, you've got more pressure than you ever wanted on you.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. thinks Phoenix could send him to victory lane. And for Jeff Gordon, after solid finishes the last few weeks,
we take that confidence in the cars that we've been bringing to the racetrack.
Gordon is in 6th place in the chase standings.
Fox Radio's Marjay Tashina. Fox News. We report, you decide.
We'll have considerable clouds for today. Now, there might be a couple of showers out there, temperature around 45. We're not going to rule out a few breaks of sunshine either. Mostly cloudy tonight with a few snow showers possible, low of 36. And for Sunday, maybe a snow shower in the morning. We should see a little bit of afternoon sun. It'll be breezy with a temperature of 45. A few snow showers are possible Sunday night. Still breezy, a low of 32. And for Veterans Day, we'll have occasional sunshine. Maybe some showers toward the end of the day with a temperature between 45 and 50 degrees.
Now, back to Dugie and the Doctor on AM 1480 WLEA.
All right, we are back here. Dugie and my co-host, the Doctor, and we're going to go back with Scott just a little bit. I know Brian knows him personally, but just for our listening audience, can we have a little bit of background on you?
Sure.
Where you went to school,
sure.
Where you were born, school, college, this and that.
I was actually born in Rochester to my parents, Larry and Debbie Carroll.
That's historic.
Yeah. I have a sister, Heather, who's a little older than me. She's a financial analyst in Corning. Grew up my entire life. I had some great coaches growing up. I mean, talk about some individuals that really gave back to the community. Mr. Norton, Johnny Cardamone, Mr. Ray Niver for baseball, phenomenal coaches all the way up through in basketball, Mr. Larry Vetter, who's still a staple at the YMCA and teaching the fundamentals. Jim Tobin, Mr. Friedland was a coach of mine. Yeah, just you helped out in some clinics and camps with tennis and things like that.
Yes, I did. Okay. When you get over 60. Yes.
Take your pat on the back.
Right. Went up through the ranks at Hornell High School and graduated in 99. I then went to St. Bonaventure University. Graduated there in 2003 and stayed in 2004 for a fifth-year master's in English. I then went to Alfred University, where I met really one of my greatest mentors, and that was Dr. James Curl, phenomenal guy, really taught me a lot. And through my internship, got hired on at Avoca Central School.
So that was your first job?
That was my first job, yes. 3 to 4 years in, was talked by Mr. Rozier and Mr. Yocum to maybe look into administration, leadership potential. And then I spent 7 years there, 3 of them as athletic director. And then last year was hired on as the athletic director at Hornell City School District.
So you were kind of looking to get out of Avoca. You wanted to get something a little bigger?
Not necessarily out of Avoca. I loved it there. I loved the small school atmosphere. Had great leadership with Mr. Rozier and then Mr. Dick Yoakum, who took over. Phenomenal school district. Great teachers, great administration, great students. I got to a point, though, where I was low man on the totem pole as a school counselor and then athletic director. And that was kind of the doom and gloom years about 2 to 3 years ago, where you didn't know if really job security was there, and was looking to start a family. Was just recently married to my wonderful wife Maureen, and I had the degree. I wanted to use the degree. I would like to be a principal and have aspirations of ultimately, hopefully, becoming a superintendent. And it was a great opportunity to come back to my alma mater. I really want to come here and right the ship. And I'm looking here to 25, 30 years, and what better place than where you grew up? So I'm ecstatic about that. I was ecstatic about having the opportunity to help lead the district, and we're moving forward.
Well, I'm sure Hornell's glad to have you. So you got your head screwed on straight, that's for sure.
He's visible. He's available. And in the role of dean of students, many times you see the same kids over and over and over. Now, I know if I was dean of students and I didn't know who Bill was, and he was sitting there waiting for me to give him a consequence, okay, Bill, take it easy there, big fella. But he does a wonderful job. Now, speaking of your job, by the way, if you had to say what is the most difficult part of being athletic director, if I asked you about dean of students, we'd be here forever. But as athletic director, what would it be?
I think now, really, it's finding coaches. I mean, we have a great set of coaches, but some of them are getting, later in their careers, and finding new coaches. People really, unbeknownst to a lot of people, aren't knocking down the doors to come coach at Hornell, okay? And what you need to do to become a coach now, fingerprints, CPR, first aid, and then you have to take 3 coaching classes that you have to pay for that are just like a collegiate level class. So the time commitment is key. A lot of people don't go behind the scenes and think about, like, for instance, a Coach Warner does. He's there from all hours of the day, summer, lifting sessions, watching tape, trying to build that program. And it's a complete buy-in for those kids. And he's, working 24/7, 365 days a year. I mean, that's something that a lot of the public and the community, I don't think, really see, and what it takes to become a coach and to be a successful coach. There's a ton of work that's put in.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I'm sorry,
the high school level, I know the amount of time they have to put in, and and I see that you basically know what their pay is, and I'm telling you,
for what
they got to love it for what they do.
Absolutely.
Because now you want. Obviously, you go through the process. You want quality coaches too, so you really screen them really well and everything. And
I haven't really had the opportunity to go out and have a formal hiring process. We actually just hired one coach this year. It came down to Miss Megan Lowe. She's a new hiree. Played 3 out of 4 years collegiately at Elmira College for soccer. Very athletic, great rapport. And one of the things I really like to try and do is, it's not always applicable, but to have female role models for female, sports. And she's a JV girls basketball coach right now. I think we'll have a tremendous rapport with those girls, be a great role model for them. We have Rachel Cruz, who, played professionally.
Trying to get her on the show. She's
overseas.
a little too shy.
I mean, you can't beat that. You can't top that. I mean, we are extremely lucky with the amount of coaches that we have to kind of turnkey that information to the skills and strategies of whatever sport.
Here's a question that people in the community want to know. There once upon a time, if you were a certified teacher, you had preference over a non-certified or maybe someone that works out in the community. Does that still hold true? Let's say, again, you have, I'll use the guy to my left here. Professional football player, college All-American, this and that, been there, seen it, done it, and he's applying, I'm just making this up, for a football job versus maybe one other person who's a certified teacher and doesn't have, an iota of background but he's a certified teacher and he wants to do it. So
Right.
how is that determined?
I think that you look at the skill set. I think you look at Mr. Dugan.
What I'm
coming
asking,
in.
Scott, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Does still certified teachers hold preference over non-certified
I think
teachers?
we would look at them first, obviously. You think about the teacher in the school that has a rapport with the students, that can oversee their grades, can oversee them, knows when they get in trouble, just really has a niche of what that student is and does. And I think that's key. I really, truly do. Not to say that, they wouldn't get the job or Mr. Dugan wouldn't get the job, but I think we would look at them first and evaluate them and what their skills are and what their resume looks like and what skill set they have. And if we find, collaboratively a consensus that maybe this isn't the best way to go for the future, we could look.
Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to know. So it is not written in stone.
I don't think it's a signed, sealed, delivered. Once again, I don't want to say that and then go back and say that I'm wrong. I'd have to look at the contract, but I don't think there's a clause in there that says they get first dibs. I think we as a district would look at that holistically and promote them, I think, from within. I think that would be the best. But, not to say that he couldn't come in and coach at Hornell. That would not be accurate.
Attendance, your attendance. You are obviously at the girls' Western Regional. How do you want someone representing the school at each and every event, and you're out of town with the football team and there's a volleyball game. What do you have understudies? What?
Yeah, I have some great help. Coach Warner helps in the spring, and then Mr. Ponticello helps in the winter. So it's kind of like a faculty athletic manager. So, if I'm on the road and out and about, or, if we need uniforms collected, or, need ice or water, or someone forgot a blood uniform, then those are kind of the go-to guys that can get equipment and ice packs and, things like that. Just, really just kind of a second, AD, to be honest, when I'm not there. So they're really the eyes and the ears, and they do a great job. I have a great support staff around me, and they make me be successful.
Do you feel you have to be at events that aren't, let's say, midget, or what do they call it, Vince Lombardi football, or something that's going on in the gym that isn't related to Hornell High School sports? Do you have to be there?
Not technically. Like last year was the first year for youth wrestling. I went there just to make sure things were going well. I don't go to a lot of youth tournaments or youth football. I know that our coaches kind of do that, and that's what's great. One of the things I'd really love to do, and this is, my long-term vision, I think it would be exceptional to have, like, say, the youth soccer, to have our high school seniors be the coaches and really be that role model. And, those kids, like I look at Zach Bacon last year and Brendan Bish and some of those seniors, and they would always go down to lunch in the elementary schools. Those guys are rock stars. They're gods.
Yes,
they are gods. And I think, to have Zach Bacon go to like a youth practice for football and to coach him for a week or 2 weeks and to turnkey what Coach Maston and Coach Warner have, instilled and the knowledge that they have, I think that's out of this world. That would really be a building block to great success. And just to have those kids have a mentor and someone to look up to, and have those guys go to the game, hey, I know him. That's Zach Bacon. He coached us. Or, that's Jimmy Dagan last year. Or, this year that's Richard Brooks. Or, whoever that may be. I think that's exceptional, and that's really promoting from within and having positive male role models and positive female role models for our young students.
I got a quick question for him.
Well, you certainly can ask it.
All right. Thank you, Brian.
I'm going to argue with you?
Now, Hornell, obviously you make the schedules. That's a part of the athletic director's job. Do you find that because you are so close to each year you don't know whether you're going to be B or C, does that affect you in scheduling, or do you pretty much going to play the same teams and stones whether you are B or C?
Pretty much for like the league games, it's pretty much set in stone, but our non-league games is getting a little dicey. In football right now, they went away from 6-5-4, so we could have played Rush Henrietta. That's a AA school, and you weren't getting 6 points or 7 points for beating a AA school. So there was really no risk reward, and so you could have had cupcakes on your schedule and still had 5 points across the board. I think that's got to change, and it was kind of just an odd year. They are going back to 6-5-4 next year, so that's kind of tough. Really trying to start to get the relationship back with Corning and Olean and playing those guys. I look at the basketball schedule this year, and it's out of this world. They play Batavia, Monroe, Charlotte, Aquinas, for non-league, Alexander. I mean, A schools and
the Hornell basketball team does this year.
Yes.
Wow.
So they're loaded.
Charlotte.
So their schedule is loaded, but I think playing that tough of a schedule only makes us better, and that's why we're there.
Absolutely.
And I always always thought that I always wanted to see, and I would have liked to have seen this when Hornell was in its prime in football, is the Corning-Hornell rivalry.
Oh, yeah.
You got two teams in the same county, two great programs. Could you imagine the draw for that game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I was in high school, I played Corning, and you know who I played against? Doug Allen.
Oh, Doug Allen,
yeah. Penn State boy, Buffalo Bill.
Yes.
Yeah, he ran right over me.
Well, listen, we're going to take our another break here, and I'm sure Scott's got things to do. He's going to be on the run, and we appreciate Scott being here, and want to thank him and wish him the best of luck. And we do want to wish the girls' soccer team all the best.
And I do want to say this. I don't like it when someone's more articulate than I am. You know,
he is very articulate.
Very articulate, well-spoken. He's a pro's pro. Scott, it's been a privilege and joy to have you.
Are you looking to get in the radio business, Scott?
Actually, there's an intern out there, and I used to be that intern, not too long ago. I used to come up here and run the boards. And
right.
Yeah, I used to be up here, so I dabbled a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, well.
Yep.
Thank you, Scott, and
we'll
be back with
Dugie and the doctor.
All right. We'll talk simultaneously here.
AM 1480 WLEA.
Well, tell me, have you checked out the express lane at Maple City Dodge? Oil changes while you wait. No appointments necessary. The fine technicians at the express lane can service every make and model. Just come into the service center, look for the express lane. You'll save time and money. Maple City Dodge, the people with the best oil change prices in town. Nice staff, remodeled waiting room, expert technicians. The new Express Lane, Maple City Dodge, Monday through Friday, 8 till 6, Tuesdays, 8 till 5, Saturdays, 8 till 3.
Hi, this is Billy D. from Hornell's Do It Best. After many, many years with much sadness, my mom and dad, Pat and Gary Davis, have decided to close the doors and begin their retirement. Everything must go. Savings in the store are store-wide. We are closing soon, so everything must go. 15 to 40% off savings in the store. Includes lumbers, tools, plumbing, electrical supplies, small appliances, lighting, kitchen and bath, gifts, and much more. We need to clean everything out, so this means great savings for you. Also, you really need to use your gift cards as soon as possible. Stop in and say hello to Pat and Gary and all the crew. And also, we would like to thank all our loyal customers. Thank you.
All Christmas and gift shop items now 40% off.
I never thought I had the time.
I never thought I had it in me.
I'm not trained to do that kind of stuff.
I always wanted to do more for my community.
So I took the first step. I joined my volunteer fire department.
It turned out to be one of the best decisions of my life.
Is there a fire in you? Do you have the commitment, the dedication, the drive to do something great? Go to www.fireinyou.org. Find out what it takes to be a volunteer firefighter, to be the one running in when everyone else is running out. The courage to act, the ability to perform. Not only do you get the satisfaction of helping others, but you get free training, tuition assistance, and other great benefits. Take the first step. Volunteer at fireinyou.org. That's fireinyou.org. There's no greater reward than being the one to be counted on.
Brought to you by the Firemen's Association of the State of New York and funded by U.S. Department of Homeland Security.
Now, back to Dugie and the Doctor on AM 1480 WLEA.
All right, we are back here, and it's just down to Dugie and the Doctor now. Our guests have cleared the studio.
Well, Dugie, there's a couple of things I really want the listening audience to hear. One is, and I wish Hornell would understand and appreciate this. You were flown first class out to Seattle to commemorate. You were a part of the 3 years, a part of the Seattle Seahawk football team, and you were part of the 83 team that was the first Seahawk team since their inception in 76 to make it to the playoffs. So they commemorated your team. And I saw you on Facebook hobnobbing with Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, you and Stevie Largent, who went on to become a congressman, Hall of Famer, Jim Zorn, Dave Craig, who came from Division III. So many. I saw the team picture. It looked like you had to chisel the smile off your face.
Yes, I had a grin the whole weekend, to be honest with you. I mean, it's been 30 years since I've seen this guy or seen these guys, and I never never thought that I'd be, having something like this to, a reunion like this. And I really have to say, I haven't really been a big Seahawk fan over the years, but after the way they treated us this weekend, I am definitely going to wear a shirt and hat when they go to the playoffs.
Well, speaking of that, when I was in Delaware, I went to this cap shop, and there was one Seahawk. So I said, hey, how much is, I have a friend and a great co-host that played for the Seahawks. How much is the hat? And it was one of those hip-hop hats, where the rim's straight. Mm-hmm. And it was $40. I said, well, I like Dugie, but I don't know if I like him that much.
No.
So I didn't think you'd wear one that was hip-hop. You know what I mean? I don't like that. I mean, it's not against hip hop or whatever, but I just don't like that style. I like our old style with a little bent, to it. So when I find a good one, I'm going to buy it for you. I promise you, I'm going to buy it for you. But that one was not you. But to talk about a couple of things at the reunion that stood out.
What stood out was probably everybody's hair right off the bat after 30 years.
You still have most of yours.
Yeah, but a lot of people didn't have any, and I don't think anybody had dark hair anymore. Uh-huh. And there was a lot of guys that were really hot. There's a lot of guys that, the years of playing have taken a toll on them. A lot of bad knees, things like that. And the offensive line, we got together and we did a lot of things.
Were all of you there?
Most of us, all of us were there eventually. The first day, a lot of them are coaches, so they couldn't do a lot of the Saturday events, so they came in Sunday for the ceremony. But of all the people I met out there, I stood next to one person that I was in total awe of, and that was Paul Allen, the owner.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how many times you stand next to a billionaire,
Oh yeah. Wow. Hey, you should have asked if he needed a chauffeur or something,
I just stared at him for a minute and said, that's what a billionaire looks like?
Did he introduce himself or you?
Yeah, of course I introduced myself.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it was a thrill to be back with your old teammates. It is something, Dugie, that nobody, and I'm going to say this, and I know sometimes you get tired of me saying this, nobody in Hornell has experienced this. It's entertainment, it's athletics. Nobody has walked in your shoes as a first-team All-American at Penn State at a storied football college at Penn State and good academic school. Nobody in Hornell has seen the likes of Too Tall Jones and John Matuzak and many of the tough, great NFL football players, but you have. And you've played against them and you've made contact. So for that, I think people in Hornell should understand and appreciate that. But if there's nothing, I just want to segue. We have a few minutes.
Yes. Let's a couple issues here that.
Yeah, there are, and you've been in an NFL locker room, and this is taking a life of its own. This Richie Incognito, the bullying,
Martin
and Jonathan Martin. Let's look at first of all their characters. Jonathan Martin comes from two Harvard-educated parents. He went to Stanford, which you can say is an Ivy League school of the West. Soft-spoken, minds his own business, not a rah-rah, get on top of the table, lead the song type guy. Rookie last year. Richie Incognito, who probably is one heck of an offensive guard tackle, has got a history of inappropriate behavior. And he was kicked off Nebraska's team. He was kicked off Oregon's team. He had a major incident with Spagnuolo of the Rams. He said he waived him. Not a lot happening with the Bills. He had a sexual, some type of assault, which was dropped of a female volunteer at a golf tournament. And there's many more. A survey was taken by NFL players, and 60% said no, they would not want him on the team, nor would they want Russell Martin. So here's the question to you, Mr. NFL. When you played, what was required of you as a rookie, and did you see anything to what we have heard or read about with Incognito, racial slurs, making him pay $15,000 to $30,000 for a dinner, anything along those lines when you played?
it's happened. It's through the history of the league. This has always been a part of the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this stuff has went on for years, and it'll keep going on. It's just the nature of the game. It's not your typical office job where you're around, women and there's a little couth you got to have. Right. There's none in a locker room, and. As far as the racial part of it goes, no, that you don't play. We never played with that issue. I mean, we never,
I want to ask you this because when you have an absolute bond with somebody, you get your parameters widen and you get to say and do things sometimes when there's a bond and there's a kinship. That's either here nor there. But Incognito was extremely well liked. Seemed to have everybody's back, but there must have been something subtly going on between him and Martin where Martin just ups and leaves.
Right. Martin was put in a situation. I think Incognito definitely pushed it too far. I mean, I think that he thought he was doing something good for the kid. I mean, obviously they can use the term toughen him up, but actually he was alienating this guy more, making this guy hate. I mean, we to the point where I can't work with this guy anymore, and I don't know what to do. I am not taking a total 100% side behind Martin. I understand his issues and stuff, but you got to understand the guy is 6'5", 320 pounds. Mm-hmm. And you can go right back to grade school with a bully. You can keep running home and telling your dad, or one day you can just dust your hands off and say, and a lot of times the second way, you'll never have a problem again. I'm not saying that was the direction to go, but
you are saying exactly what Mike Golick said on Mike and Mike. But then you listen to somebody like Mike Francesa said, it's not in Jonathan Martin's DNA. It's a soft-spoken intellectual that doesn't have that within him. And when Mike Davidson said, there are football players and there are people who play football, he may be a very talented Jonathan Martin football player, very talented, but not have that, whatever it takes to.
Right. You know what? If you got to have a tough hide to play that game, and obviously his hide was a little. Maybe he's in the wrong sport if he doesn't like it. Maybe hey, you went to Stanford, you could probably make as much money doing something else. You got a great degree. Maybe that sport maybe it was the best thing for him to walk away. Maybe it was best to talk to the coach. I actually think he should have started right from the position coach. Nothing happens. Mm-hmm. Head coach, right up the chain of command. And eventually until you get to the owner. Say, listen, somebody's got to do something about this.
That's the consensus of most people, that exactly what you're saying, that there was a systematic way to go about this rather than just walk away. And now it's, like I said earlier, it's taken a life of its own. It's on 24/7 on the talk shows, on national network TV, you name it, and it's not going away anytime soon. And it's going to bring to light, again, these guys, and you were part of it, sequestered, a lot of testosterone. It's a different atmosphere. It isn't your 9-to-5 office job. Things are different. Things are said. Behaviors happen. It's a different culture and climate.
Yeah, but and Martin's got to realize this, too. Look at the repercussions this has had on that team. I mean, can Miami even take the field and focus after all this? Nobody cares about the Miami Dolphins. Everybody cares about this incident now. The media. They got to pull together and get this squad together. And, and he can basically, he can wear that responsibility that he is the one that put him in this situation by not handling this, in the proper manner.
Right. Did you get a note sent?
Yes, I have a note, and it's just a reminder for everybody out there that we are covering the Alfred University game. They play Ithaca at 1 o'clock today, and it's their last home game, and you'll be able to listen to it in our...
Against Utica.
What did I say? Oh, Utica, okay.
It's their last home game against Utica, yes.
Yeah, okay, last home game against Utica. We'll be carrying the game on 1480 WLEA, and you'll be able to listen on our website, which is now mobile friendly.
Oh, great.
And that's AM1480WLA.com. So you got two choices there. You can listen on the radio or you can listen on our website.
Will Richie Incognito be there?
I don't know. But we will be back with you next week. Oh, no, there's an auction next week.
There's an auction next week. And one last thing. Hold on, Brian. I always chime with. This is Austin Dwyer, who I had on my other show many, many times, and we're going to get him back on here maybe when the season ends. This is his last home game at Alfred U. 4 great years.
Okay, and then that's it for Dugie and the Doctor. We will be back with you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
AM 1480 WLEA. Hornell.
From ADC News, I'm Joan Bennett. Scenes of death and destruction